Hi, when people talk about modern weapons that became an icon, one name almost everywhere has heard is the FGM-148 Javelin. The name is so famous that some people talk about it like magic, one shot, and the tank disappear. But in this video, I want to do something more useful. I want to explain in plain English what the Javelin is actually good at, why it wins in real situations, and where it is not a perfect answer. And because comparisons are trending everywhere, I've compared the Javelin with China GAM-102, a system that appears in public reporting and defense discussions. I'm using the Javelin as the baseline because its system concept and public information are relatively stable. The goal is to give you a way of thinking, not just numbers to argue about. Here's the first question we should ask before we argue. How sure are we about the facts? Because sometimes, before any weapon is fired, an information war hits at first. One more thing before we begin. This is an explanation for understanding. It's not a user manual. It's not a how-to guide. I'm keeping it safe, simple, and practical. Now, let's start with the core question. Why does the whole world keep talking about the Javelin? Before we get into features, here's the short background. The Javelin is a US weapon system developed to replace older anti-tank weapons, and it entered US service around 1996. It is produced through the Javelin joint venture, a partnership between Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. So, this is not a brand new viral product. It's a system that has been used, tested, and upgraded over time. This is why we saw it used in real operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, and why it became even more globally famous during the war in Ukraine, where the US delivered large numbers. So, what is a Javelin in simple terms? It is a man-portable guided anti-tank weapon. Its biggest selling point is what people describe as lock and launch, or in short, fire and forget. In plain language, the operator doesn't need to keep guiding the missile for a long time after launch. Once it is launched, the operator has a better chance to move, hide, and avoid immediate return fire. This is a big reason why the Javelin is often described as expensive but worth life for infantry. Another famous idea is top attack. If I explain this as a picture, the front of the tank is usually heavily protected because it expects direct fire, but the roof of many tanks is often less protected because design and weight have trade-offs, heat management, hatches, sensors, and so on. So, a weapon that can hit from above is basically trying to play against a common weakness. But here's where I want to slow down a misunderstanding. Top attack doesn't mean every tank will vanish every time, and it doesn't mean every environment is ideal. Real life has a lot of variables, weather, obstacles, angles, camouflage, and modern countermeasures. The Javelin is strong, but it is not a magic button. To understand why it is strong, it helps to split the system in your mind into two parts. Part 1 is the missile in the launch tube. Part 2 is the sight and control unit, often called the CLU, Command Launch Unit. In simple terms, the CLU is the system eyes and brain. It includes sensor, thermal imaging, and target locking support. It is not just a normal camera. It is a technology package that helps the operator see and decide better. And that's why the Javelin is expensive. You're not buying only the missile. You are paying for sensors, software, reliability, and long-term support that make the system usable in real conditions, not only on a training range. I'm not going to spend a long time speaking number in the main story. Instead, I will put the money part into a simple ROM package, company level, in the last row of the table, so you can feel the scale quickly, and then we can keep talking about the real logic. Also, in real life, The cost is not only price per shot, there are often extra costs people forget: repeated training, storage and readiness, batteries and support gear, and training simulators that let true practice without burning real missile all the time. When you look at it this way, you realize the Javelin is a system, not a single object. And because it is a system, it has system-like limits. It still needs a usable target picture. It still needs timing and conditions that work. It can be affected by smoke, dust, heat cutter, cover, and the enemy response like camouflage, smoke screens, or certain modern defensive systems. In simple words, it works best as part of a team, not as a lone hero weapon. Now, let's go to the question people always ask. So, what does the spec picture look like? I put a table on screen not to win arguments, but as a compass. Because in real life, the bigger story is training, ISR, force, structures, and logistics. Okay, let's see the picture. On the left, the Javelin is our baseline because the information is stable and easy to check. The one line I want you to remember is IIR plus fire and forget, locks, launch, and the operator can move. This is why it became famous not only because videos look dramatic. On the right, the GAM-102 picture is now clearer at the big shape level in public sources, roughly 300 to 4000 meters of effective range, thermal imaging guidance, top direct modes, and a tandem warhead. But here's the key caution. What matters is the exact model actually present and the system real readiness. Public reporting may tell us the name, it rarely tells us the true number, the training level, the support chain, and how the force is actually organized. Now the last line, money. I wrote it as a company level ROM sample on purpose. Because if you want a whole company to use an ATGM system at a real capability, you need more than a few missiles. You need launch control unit, enough rounds, training tools, spare parts, batteries, and a buffer. And one more thing, this ROM is still only the first layer. Real procurements often add more rotation trainings for multiple teams, simulators, extra spares, transport, storage and readiness, and long-term sustainment. So use this ROM as a way to feel the scale, not as a final contract price. Now, instead of arguing over single numbers, let's compare like real buyers using 4 practical axes. Axis 1 is mission. The Javelin was designed to give infantry a real anti-tank capability at short to medium range, with a strong focus on reducing operator risk. If a weapon forces you to stay exposed and guided for a long time, the enemy has time to respond. If a system lets you shoot and move faster, survivability improves. Axis 2 is eyes and brain, sensor, and the sight control unit. In the real world, you often win when you see first and decide first, even before any missile hits. That's why the CLU matters. It helps detection and target lock, especially in poor light or complicated conditions. Axis 3 is support as sustainment. Expensive anti-tank weapons are not expensive because they are toys. They are expensive because you must pay for training, storage, testing, repair, batteries, spares, and readiness. Without the support chain, even a strong weapon becomes a display item. Exit 4 is the information war. With the GAM-102 story, early reporting and online reports sometimes use inconsistent naming, and a few posts even slips in LR. As more updates came out, the naming became more stable around GAM-102. This doesn't mean we should blindly believe every claim, but it is a strong lesson. One wrong model names can make people guess the wrong range, the wrong capability, and the wrong level of technology. And that leads to the biggest danger. If we believe the wrong capability, we will evaluate the situation wrong. This is an important lesson for security watchers and for creators. Our jobs is not to make people panic. Our jobs is to help people understand. Now, if someone asks me, so, is the Javelin stronger? I will answer honestly. As a system concept, the Javelin is a proven baseline. It has been used and refined across multiple conflicts. The focus on operator survivability and flexible attack modes makes it a serious threat to armor in many conditions. But saying, if you have Javelin, you win, is dangerous. Just like saying all tanks always lose. If an armored force has strong drone scouting, good artillery control, smart smoke, and camouflage, disciplined movements, and real coordination, its survivability and response options can still be high. And on the other side, if an ATGM team lacks intelligence, lacks training, lacks protection, and exposes itself carelessly, even a good weapon may not save it. So the simplest conclusion is this. The Javelin became famous because it raised infantry survivability and forces armor to think harder. That is the real value, not just the explosion highlights. And the bigger question I want to throw to you is this. In a world where information moves faster than weapons, every country needs not only hardware, but also the ability to separate facts from noise. Because sometimes the most costly mistake is not getting hit, it is believing wrong and deciding wrong. Before I end, here is a question for the comments. If you were building a force with a limited budget, where would you put more money? Would you buy a smaller number of high-quality ATGMs? Or would you invest more into eyes like drones, communications, and training, so small units can operate as a real system? Drop your view in the comments. And if you like this style, simple language but real logic, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends who follow these topics. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.